Who are you talking to like that? How quick can you recognize the fact that I should not be saying these things? Because if it were someone else saying these words to me or saying these words to my kid or my mom, I would not let that thing fly. Hey, what's going on, family? It's Zay, and welcome to the Guava Life podcast. If you're somebody that's looking to grow in any area of your life, whether that's your faith, your health, your relationships, your business, or even your content, you are in the right place. We love to have conversations about building the dream and developing the right disciplines and habits and even the mindset to finish what God has put in each and every one of us. And of course, I start every single one of these episodes with a huge thank you to each and every one of you that has subscribed, that has shared, that has sent me text messages, DMs, commented, sent prayers. All the support is overwhelming, and I do not take it lightly when you guys take the time out of your busy day to come here and hear these conversations. Again, I do not take it lightly whatsoever, and if I can show my appreciation, I plug it in every episode. I have conversations with you guys right back. I go live and we have these open dialogues, and I want to say, man, it's a blessing how much you guys inspired me to keep going, right? It keeps me going to want to show up because I know that it's helping somebody. And if you're new here and someone sent this to you, I want you to send them a big old thank you message, because I am pretty biased, and not to boast, but I believe this conversation today is going to bless you, right? We've all been where we're going to talk about on right now. Right now, we're going to touch a part of our lives that we've all experienced, right? It's normal. It's a part of growth. It's a part of getting to where God has called us to go. But I want to be able to speak to it and get better and get out of this position as quickly as possible. And it all makes sense, right? What I want to touch on today is the power of the tongue, right? How important it is to guard how we speak to ourselves, how we speak to others, and of course, how we speak to God. Okay, so I want to start with that. The conversations that you have with yourself, that you have with others, that you have with God, really shape the direction of your life. And what I don't want us to get caught up in is allowing others to speak over our lives in a way that is counterproductive to the way we want to go, right? But the even louder voice that we might ignore the discipline to guard and protect ourselves from is that inner voice, is that self-talk that we do to ourselves when we look in the mirror or we bump our heads along the journey. Now that talk is what I really want to get a hold of. But in the middle of having that conversation, I don't want to lose sight on what others say to us, and then how we inevitably speak with the Lord when it comes to prayer, when it comes to asking, hey, what are my next steps, God? Right? We want to be really clear. We want to be really intentional. And the reason why I want to talk about the side of us talking to ourselves and people talking to us is because it's very easy to see that we're going to guard ourselves when someone else speaks a certain way, or if we're watching the way someone speaks to someone that maybe works for them, or the way someone disrespects their mom, or something like that, all in their tone, all in the words they use, right? It's easy to point that out. So the reason I want to kind of highlight that a bit is I want you to see how easy it is for us to forget that we can't talk to ourselves that way either. We need to be able to check ourselves in that same capacity. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of times where we have that talk of, we might call ourselves something that's just way out of the norm. Like, I coach youth basketball, and there's a lot of times where we're drilling, and especially in practice, I like to remind our girls that here's the place where you're allowed to make mistakes. But a lot of times you hear them saying, man, I just don't get it. This isn't for me. Like, I'm checked out. I'm irritated. And I was actually having a huge laugh about that this past week. A lot of the girls just kept repeating, I'm irritated. I'm irritated. And from the outside looking in, I'm kind of thinking, man, is it me? But when I pull them aside and I ask them the question, you hear them say, nah, Some days I feel like I'm on, and then some days I feel like it's just not it. Maybe I'm not a basketball player. And I want to speak to that because there's a lot of us that are in that season, but what that season really is not nothing wrong. You aren't making genuine mistakes. That's a growing season. That is proof that you are growing. And why, as a coach, is so important and vital for me to remind my players or anyone that's around me that, hey, that's the signal. That's the signal of growth. If you came into practice and nothing went wrong, you're not growing. You're not intentionally trying to get better. You're not pushing yourself to a certain level. And my pastor said it great. One Bible study, he came in and he was just sharing. Like, it was a heavy season for the men that were at the table. And we were just sharing with him a lot of what's going on. And he would just share with us that growth often feels like you're starting over. And which you are, because the way he put it was so clear, it clicked. And now every time I reach this moment in the process, in the journey, like, I'm on a new journey here with this podcast. I'm on a new journey with my Guava Skool community, right? We're going to hit a wall. We're going to hit a wall. But that wall doesn't necessarily mean you're hitting a wall, right? What he said was the top of level 2, for example, if you're somebody that's doing great and you're at the top of level 2, that feels amazing. You're on top of the world. You can't do anything wrong. That's like the young players that I have coming to practice and not making any mistakes. You got this down. You're so good. You got it. But there's going to be a time where you got to take another step up, where God is calling you to another level. You got to start doing something new. You got to jump into a new relationship. You got to jump into a new job. You got to start that business you wanted to do. You have to get on that health journey you want to be on, right? That's when the bottom of level 3 starts to feel terrible. You could be on the top of level 2, but you're on the bottom of level 3. But it's what you asked for. It's the process. It's the progress that you're making. So yeah, you're on level 3, but now you're starting to doubt yourself because I don't understand this level of my career. I don't understand how to do business this way. I don't know how to deal with my spouse, my coworker, my teammate, my leadership, or my team. But that's elevation. And yes, elevation starts to feel like, man, I'm not doing this the right way. And you're not doing anything wrong. You literally leveled up. You literally leveled up. And there's so many times in my basketball career or workouts, you throw one extra plate on that bench bar and I'm just like, man, that's it. I'll never put 225 on there again. I remember I transferred out of my freshman year. I transferred into my hometown high school, and immediately they put me on varsity. I was a sophomore. I love to believe that, hey, I deserve to be on varsity, right? I just came from a crosstown rivalry, and I was playing JV. So they get wind of it, they kind of know who I am. So I don't even have to try out. I just jump right onto the varsity team. And I'm getting punched on every single practice. I'm being bullied. There are people throwing me all over the court. We have a team full of seniors. They're beating me down in the locker room. They're talking to me crazy. And I just would hold my head down in every practice. I'm like, man, basketball is not for me. Put me back on JV. Put me back with my friends. And how many of us can agree that we find ourselves in an area of promotion and we're like, man, it was sweet when I was on level 2. Put me back there when I was on top of things. Do I have to be on level 3? And yes, you do. Because that's what God has called each and every one of us to do. And if you're on this podcast right now, it's because you want to grow. So if you're in that season, I want you to remind yourself that you're not doing anything wrong. You are on another level. You have been promoted. You have leveled up. So don't look at yourself as if you're doing anything wrong. Just own it and just start to do your best, okay? But doing your best starts with your conversation. So here's what I'm going to leave you with today. Because there's a lot of us in that season. I have students in Guava Skool. that are all starting something brand new. And I'm grateful and thankful that they've given me the permission to hold them accountable, to keep them encouraged. But there's sometimes some words start to get a little slippery. I'm gonna give you a few scenarios, and you tell me how you would respond if this conversation, if these words were said to you by someone who's not you. How would you respond? And if these words were said to me and you were standing by and you heard someone else saying these words to me as a friend, as someone who loves me, how would you respond? Okay, so first and foremost, I want to, cover this by saying, let's say I'm going through a moment, like we were just talking about basketball, and I'm in this season, I'm punching the locker, and I'm like, Zay, you suck, right? You're worthless. You shouldn't be doing this. This is terrible. How would you respond to me speaking to myself that way? Or as a matter of fact, I'm speaking to an underclassman and I'm telling this underclassman, or I'm telling this coworker, or I'm telling this trainee or this mentee, someone that's under my leadership, and I say to them, hey man, you might as well hang it up. It's over. This is not what you should be doing. Go ahead and pack it up. That little business you're starting, this little career journey you think you're on, go ahead and pack it up. This is not for you. How would you respond if you walked by that conversation being had in the break room? Just imagine that. Picture that. I'm speaking to someone that's on a level beneath me, or any level for that matter. And I'm saying, man, hang it up. It's never going to happen for you. And you walk by. You'll be quick to step into the middle of that conversation and say, hey, Zay, hold on. Slow your roll. What are you doing? It's not how we talk to people. And we can all agree that we all have a heart of gold when it comes to walking by conversations that way. Who do you think you're talking to? Who do you think you're talking to? Fix your tone, fix the words you're using, and start to encourage that person, not tear them down. So in that same breath, let's switch the scenario where you're in a season of growth. You're in a season of trying new things. And you are talking to yourself the same way you watched me talk to this mentee. Hang it up, dummy. This ain't for you. Go figure out something else to do with yourself. You're not cut out for this. So stop. I'll do it another time, man. Maybe this just isn't for me. No, right? You wouldn't allow that conversation to happen with someone else, so don't allow it to happen with yourself, okay? Because a lot of what we say to ourselves starts to become our reality. Doubt starts to get doubled, okay? Questioning ourselves is inevitable at that point. It's hard for us to break through the overthinking of every little situation because of that inner dialogue. So that mindset has to shift into what we talked about at the top. You're in a growing season. You're in a growth process, transition, leveling up. So check the way you talk to yourself. Okay? Negative talk starts to feel like I'm just being honest. I'm just thinking about the reality. That's not the truth. Not the truth whatsoever. Proverbs 18:21 says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. So if you have the power to speak life and you have the power to speak death, why are we choosing death in these moments of growth? I'm not going to call it anything else. Moments of growth. Yeah, doubts come in, but I'm going to speak it as a level of growth, in the season of growth, in a moment of growth. We got to choose life to speak over ourselves and speak over others as well. And no matter where you are, you can be at level 2. You can get to the top of level 3. You can get to the top of level 5. But then you're going to hit the bottom of level 6. Getting closer to your purpose doesn't eliminate the fact that insecurities are going to exist, are going to come up, because it's easy for us to compare ourselves to the people around us. It's easy for us to compare ourselves to the version that we're envisioning us being when we actually reach that goal, when we actually reach our destination. That's why the journey is so important. We have to start to develop the muscle of, okay, I'm in a growing season again. I'm being promoted. The Lord is calling me to something bigger. This relationship has to get taken to another level. Now, when you get there, the way you speak to yourself can easily start to translate on how you speak to others. So we're going to get into check how you talk to others, because that's just as important. The way you talk to yourself starts to create doubt in you. Once the insecurities start to double, triple, you start to speak doubt over your entire team, right? You start to question the team's progress. Can we actually do this thing now? Because I don't think I am worthy of this situation. But you can't project onto others. That's the last thing you want to do as a team player, as a husband, as a father, as a mom, as a teammate, as a leader. Wherever you are in your life, the last thing you want to do is actually take the habits that you're speaking over yourself. You start to believe it. It starts to become normal. You start to speak death over situations instead of choosing life over certain situations. And then you have to notice that, okay, now I'm doing that to my team. And once you're that deep, it's hard to get yourself out. Team starts to distance themselves. You start to distance yourself from your team because you allowed that inner talk from the beginning when you were in a growth season. I'm not going to let us forget the fact that this is a growth season that we're in. Brand new things, brand new level, at the bottom of something new. What we asked for, the leader you've been called to become, the husband that you prayed about being, the father that you prayed about being. That level of health we wanted to get on, that discipline you wanted to create for yourself, right? We want to stay aware and remember that growth is the reason for all of this, not a mistake, okay? Hey, what's going on, family? I hope this episode has been a blessing to you. Here's the thing. How many of you can agree that building your dream can actually get pretty lonely? You start to question yourself, overthink every little move, and wonder, am I actually cut out for this? But the truth is, none of us were meant to build alone, which is why we built Guava Skool to begin with. A community where you can find encouragement, accountability, and people to remind you of who you really are, even when you forget. So do yourself a favor. If you're tired of building alone, come build with us. One guarantee, you get to build your dream, and we get to have your back. See you on the inside. So we check ourselves. We check the way we talk to ourselves. We check the way we talk to others. Make sure that we're doing the right things in both of those areas. Because one leads into the next. Now you're doubting the team, the work environment, the routine you're building, all starts to go down the drain. Now you have to look at, okay, how is that going to start to shape the way I talk to God? Now I have to start praying. But prayer reveals what we actually believe. And if I spoke something so harsh over my growth moment, my growth season, and it started to impact my team, then it impacted the family. Now I'm praying to God, what's wrong with me? Why is this happening to me? Right? Are you fearful in what's going to happen? Are you doubting in what's going to happen? Are you confused with what's going to happen? God isn't afraid of honesty. He's not afraid of honesty. He's not afraid of you saying, man, Lord, I'm trying to figure this thing out. Lord, work on, provide for me a new heart, a new mind, renew my mind, right? He's not afraid of that. But what I don't want us to confuse that with is, I don't want you to confuse being honest with being hopeless and like coming to God like, oh God, this is done. I don't know if I can handle this. Like, Lord, what's happening? No, come bold, come confident, and remind yourself once again of the mission, of the vision that we had to begin with. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy, right? Who you talking to like that? This is God. Bring that same energy, that boldness, that faith that you know God can make the changes, the necessary changes in your heart to get you to that level that He has called you to be on, okay? Matthew 17:20, right? What if I told you you had the power to say to this mountain, those of you who know, you know, you had the power to say to this mountain, move, and it moved. You have the power. Power of life and death is in the tongue. Jesus reminds us that the faith of a mustard seed. If I told you you have the power to speak to this mountain and say, move, and it moves, what are you going to speak over your current situation, right? I was having a conversation with my mom today, and I love our conversations. They're always productive, and I love how honest she is with me and how she allows me to be honest with her, right? But we're having this moment, and we talked about prayer. Mom, continue having these conversations with the Lord. But when you're having these conversations, you got to believe it. You got to receive it. I'm in an incredible season right now of my life where I trusted God. I've had seasons of doubt. Again, this is exactly why I'm not trying to play the role of this doesn't happen to me. No, I'm probably in the middle of level 2 right now, so I feel a little confident right now, but I'm going to hit a plateau. I'm going to hit a moment in my life where I'm going to hit this. And I'm not saying these moments don't happen. I'm saying get in that moment. Don't sit there. Don't dwell there. Don't set up camp there. You get there, you recognize it, and you get right out of there. You get there, you recognize it, you look at the signs, and you say, I'm growing. And then you start to speak life again over your situations. And we were just talking about, how do you speak to the Lord, right? Are you in your word where you can speak His word and call Him on His word? Lord, you said that you provide rest if I brought to you my burdens. Lord, you said that you know the plans for me to prosper me and not to harm me. You said to not grow weary in well doing, for at the proper time I shall reap a harvest if I just don't quit. Come boldly to the Lord. And if you're speaking to the Lord that way, and He provides these promises to us, this rest, He's promising us that He's going to take care of it. Now you return back to your team. Then you return back to the conversation you're having with yourself. And we're right back in square one and say, you know what? I spoke with the Lord. He cleaned up my heart. He shifted my perspective. And now I'm going to change the dialogue that I'm having with myself. And again, as we get into how we close all of this, right? Misery, we've heard this before, that misery loves company. There's no secret, right? So as we're going down this I want to say this rabbit hole, right? We're starting to dig this hole of, again, this all is in the power of our tongue. Power of the tongue. I want us to sit and remember, who are you talking to like that? How quick can you recognize the fact that I should not be saying these things, because if it were someone else saying these words to me or saying these words to my kid or my mom, I would not let that thing fly. Watch your mouth when you talk to you, because you're listening. You're tracking. Don't miss that. Please don't miss that, because that's the whole point of this entire conversation, okay? Because all of that leads to dropping your guard and being so vulnerable, and now allowing outside voices to dictate that you have a flaw in the way you're living. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 11, God asked Adam, when Adam starts to speak, oh, I was naked and I didn't want you to see us, after him and Eve committed that sin of eating the fruit from the tree that the Lord told him not to eat from. And God says to him, who told you that? Who told you you're not great? Who told you you're not special? Who told you you're not called to do that thing? Who told you you're too big, you're too slow, you're too dumb, you're too whatever the case, you're too anxious, you're too busy? Who told you that? Okay, not every voice deserves a vote. Not every voice deserves, like, I need to pay attention to every single voice. God's voice, the voice of your inner circle, and the voice of your inner thoughts are important. But as you start to trickle down and things start to snowball and your prayers get all loose, the next person you'll come across, you'll start to believe what they tell you. You know what, Zay? You should stop doing that thing. You should stop the podcast, because come on. How many my last episode had 25 views. Zay, 25 views. You should stop. What are you doing this for? But if I wasn't careful, I'll allow that to stop me. But I'm driven by something bigger. I'm driven by the growth. I'm driven by the promises of God for my life. And that's the challenge for you. Who told you that? Who? Tell me, ask yourself right now, who convinced you that you weren't enough? Because if you're anywhere in your word, God has never told you that. So if there's anything out there that's telling you you're just not enough, if there's anything out there that's telling you to quit, it's not God's voice. You got to be very, very careful about who you let in your ear. And with that being said, you got to watch your circle. You got to watch your circle. You got to develop the habit of, when you're making plans in your growth, when you're making plans on your way to where God is calling you to go, put this into your daily routine, right? You can say, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do in order to get that assignment done, or reach that level in my business, or to grow my marriage, or to develop this relationship with my child? Like, what do I need to do? But in that process, don't forget to ask, who do I need to talk to? Who encourages me? Check your circle. Who can I encourage in that same space? Who's dealing with the same situation? What's my community look like? Where am I plugged in? Plans are great. Next levels are great. But I don't want us to lose sight of, again, in every plan that we have on our way to reaching what God is calling us to do, we have to remind ourselves, who can I talk to for this? Who can encourage me with this? And in that process, of course, who can I encourage, right? In your last conversations, I'm going to leave you with this. I want you to look at your last 10 conversations. Did I build someone up? Did someone build me up? Was it mostly complaining? Was there purpose? Was there encouragement? Think of your last 5 conversations. Very easy for us to, like, I don't know about you, but there's plenty of times that complaining comes up. I've complained in one of my last conversations, for sure. Because I don't always agree with the people that are around me. And that's normal. But at some point, you got to have the right conversations with yourself. You got to have the right conversations with others. And you got to have those tough conversations, right? But there's a vision. When the vision is huge and there's a team involved, when the vision is huge and your family's involved, things aren't always going to be perfect. I have my daughter, I have her mom, we're not together, but some days we have great conversations, some days we have tougher conversations. But at the end of the day, I have to revisit that, how I talk to myself. I have to respond the right way. I have to pray to God the right way. I have to talk to other people in my circle to help me get through these moments quickly. That's the name of this conversation. It's not about never having to deal with it. It's about how we deal with it. And reminding ourselves, who are you talking to? Like that, okay? Again, don't forget, I'm going to leave you with, check how you talk to yourself. Check how you talk to others. Check how you talk to God. audit your circle, audit your last 10 conversations. And again, my notes are done. I'm going to look you in your face and I'm going to say, be careful how you talk to yourself because you are listening. And I know that's a tough thing to accept sometimes because growth is hard. But you were called for a reason. And you got this. Don't forget that. Be nice to yourself. Watch your mouth. But regardless of everything, just don't forget to continue to get up and venture anything. Peace.